Hey guys, Edward here from Edward279, the mixed content creator. The Caribbean, a large group of islands in the tropical Americas with several countries within it, some of them large and some of them small, as well as containing overseas territories of countries like France, the Netherlands, hence the United Kingdom, and the United States. But geographically, which islands in the region are the largest in a group of relatively small islands? In today's video, I'll be covering the top 5 largest islands in the Caribbean. So without further ado, let's get into the list. The larger of the two islands composing the country of Trinidad and Tobago, and the island on which the nation's capital, Port of Spain, is located, Trinidad, as I just mentioned, is the larger of the two islands that make up the country of Trinidad and Tobago, with the other island, Tobago, being much smaller. Unlike the other 4 islands on this list, Trinidad is not located in the Greater Antilles region, which encompasses most of the large islands in the region like Cuba and Hispaniola, both of which will be mentioned later on in this video. However, even though geographically, Trinidad alongside other islands really close to the coast of South America like Tobago, Aruba, Curacao, and Margarita Island are closer to South America than the other islands of the Lesser Antilles, these islands still fall under most definitions of the Lesser Antilles. Being the only of the islands on this list not located in the Greater Antilles, Trinidad is the Caribbean's 5th largest island, with the island having a total area of 4,768 square kilometers, or 1,841 square miles for you Americans watching. A territory of the U.S. that's in a state of limbo between independence and being a U.S. state, the island of Puerto Rico was originally colonized by Spain, hence its main language being Spanish. But wouldn't you know it, the USS Maine was sank in the port of Havana, Spain got the blame, and the Spanish-American War was here. The Americans proceeded to crush the Spanish on all fronts. And because, to the victor goes the spoils, the U.S. won the former Spanish possessions of Guam, the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Cuba from Spain, hammering the final nail in the coffin of the Spanish Empire and sowing the seeds of U.S. supremacy in the New World. From here on out, Puerto Rico would remain under the thumb of the U.S., and even today is still under control from Washington despite many of its neighbors gaining independence. Puerto Rico is the 4th largest island of the Caribbean, with the island having a total area of 9,100 kilometers, or 100 square kilometers, or 3,513 square miles. Another island in the Greater Antilles region just south of Cuba, Jamaica, is of very similar size to the aforementioned Puerto Rico, with the former being only slightly larger. Now, the island is predictably controlled by the independent country of Jamaica today, but just like other islands in the Caribbean, it wasn't always this way. Previously, the island was inhabited by the indigenous Taino people, who also lived on nearby islands like Cuba, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico. But surprise! The Spanish are here and have taken over Jamaica. And not just neighboring islands, but most of the rest of Latin America too. But just like larger countries nearby, Jamaica wouldn't stay under the thumb of Spain forever, and in 1655, the British took over, expelling the Spanish to Cuba and other of the few remaining of Spain's holdings in the New World. Finally, over 3 centuries later, the British left, giving the islands to the newly independent Jamaican government. Jamaica is the 3rd largest island in the Caribbean, with a total land area of 10,911 square kilometers, or for my Americans watching, 4,213 square miles. The only entry on this list that's not united under one nation, Hispaniola, is split between two countries, Haiti on the western third and the Dominican Republic to its east on the same island. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the geopolitical situation of Hispaniola, as this is supposed to be a geography video, but in short, one of these countries did and is doing way better than the other. It's the DR. However, the geography and climate also differs between the two sides on the island. On the one hand, the Haitian side of Hispaniola gets less rainfall and was more readily deforested, meaning the Haitian side of the island isn't as forested, while the Dominican side gets more rain and is more forested than the Haitian side of the island. And although it should be noted that geography has had relatively little effect on why the Dominican Republic is doing okay, while Haiti is not, the modern border between them was historically the border between two colonial powers that carved the island in two. You see, originally, the entire island was colonized by the Spanish, but eventually the French came around, splitting off the western third or so of the island for themselves, marking the drawing of the rough border between in what's now Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Hispaniola is the Caribbean's second largest island, with the island having a land area of 76,479 square kilometers, or 29,529 square miles. Finally, we come to Cuba, the main island of the country of Cuba and largest island in the region by a country mile. Now, just like many other islands in the Greater Antilles, some of the first people to settle on Cuba were the Taino people, who first settled the island as early as the 4th millennium BC. A few thousand years later, and ding dong, it's the Spanish, who in turn devastated indigenous populations not just in Cuba, but across the Americas, and the island would soon become a Spanish colony. And even after most of Spain's colonies in the New World broke away, Cuba remained as one of the Spanish's last colonial possessions. That is, until the U.S. came knocking, the Spanish-American War got started, and the U.S. won, occupying the aforementioned Puerto Rico, as well as Guam and the Philippines. Cuba, however, was allowed out its independence, and up until the communist takeover, the island was a massive tourist hotspot for American tourists, much like what Mexico or the Dominican Republic is today. Cuba is the geographically largest island in the Caribbean, with the island having a total land area of 105,806 square kilometers, or 40,852 square miles for you Americans watching this. So there you have it, the top 5 largest islands in the Caribbean. We hope you enjoyed this video. As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!